Hello, guys, and welcome back to Trekyards. He is Commander Cockings.
And here's Captain Foley, and happy 10 years, Stuart!
Yes,
Balloon
this is
pop.
our 10-year anniversary month, October of 2024. Are you going to have fireworks going off on the screen? I mean, you could.
Who knows? Let's find out.
And what are we looking at today, Sam?
Well, as a bonus to our normal releases, because we want to celebrate with you, we're looking at some legendary things that we've chosen to look at in a way that's hopefully sexier and more advanced than ever before. So today, as is quite apt, for the first anniversary special, we're going to look at the high-res 4K USS Foley TOS hero model. The one that was made to be in films and to look sexy and whatnot. So this is the which you have sort of seen, guys, in fan films, kind of a few shots here and there, enough, right? But it's different to sit down and take a look and appreciate and whatnot. So Stuart, you tell me the history of this model and how we got to this version, who built what and such, because I did the shots, but there's a team here.
In summary, quite a few people helped contribute to this design over the years. This is the Mark II version, originally done by Barry Chapman, and then our friend Matt Boardman had worked with Mark Bell to create this finished version, and this is the definitive Mark II Foley class. There's a Mark I and a Mark III as well, but
Film model. This will appear in, I think at current it's in 6 films, doing things, seven films. So it's going to get some good amount of life. It is a beautiful 3D model. I guess it's me spieling first. But the thing about the TOS art design is it's simple by definition. But it's like, how do you elevate the simplicity, right? How do you make it not look bland? And I think Matt did a phenomenal job with the texturing to give it a real life. And the geometry is so crisp that both work together here to feel like a really fluid living ship. I was insistent on interiors in the windows, which I will always hold my hand up and say they add something. You'll see in other views, just gives that depth. And this is obviously the high-end octane version to have some interactive lighting as well, which is more like what you'd see as like a physical miniature as if it's lighting the ship, so you get these lovely reflections and such, all subtle but meaningful.
It doesn't feel as big as it should. It's not that much bigger than a Federation class or a Connie. That's kind of the point.
I like how much grunge there is on the saucer, as in, this has been through some stuff, Stuart. This ain't no clean version.
That's fair to say, sure. Yeah, I like the dirtied up weathered saucers. Sure, I also love pristine and clean as well, but this kind of makes it feel more real world and realistic. So I like that. I think it looks good. I like the rust ring too.
Yeah,
the rust ring.
That's what I was just seeing next. Obviously, I've worked with this, but I don't do the Trekyards on it, right? We don't review it in the same way. So I know that in the Intermira Darkly Enterprise, which I know quite well, the copper ring, the subtle copper ring, kind of extends into sort of dirt on the edges. Here it kind of ends on the panel line. How do you feel about that versus it kind of extending in a more graceful way? Is it meant to be on the line of the?
They all end on a line, even on the Connie. It's obviously colored different for a reason. I hate that it's called a rust ring because it's really not rust, but that was a texturing choice done by Matt, so I can't speak to it as to why it's there, but it does add and look good. So,
One other thing that always stands out to me with this one is that it's got sort of the neck module, as it were, and it allows for windows, and it really gives a sense of scale that you just don't have on the Connie in the same way. I've done several shots from sort of panning around the registry, and you see obviously in the windows, and the windows are moving with parallax. I like you've got the warp grills, kind of a more purpley version, and top one facing top. It's always a sort of slightly redundant in a sense, but adds a flair, right? Because it ain't warp coil connecting because it's going up.
There's no such thing as that. There's no.
There you go.
The pairs rule is. Let's all just agree to But yeah, I just thought having it on top would be a much better look and give it some dynamic feel, So
speaking of dynamic, the next view, there is so much going on. I love the lighting on this. I know I did the lighting, but I don't necessarily appreciate it until we do this. This is super cool.
Yeah, I mean, wow. And here you can definitely see the interiors on those windows. But yeah, this is I love the bright light, the shadowing effect. The glows on those nacelles are really nice. There's so much to like here. Wow.
Yeah.
Good.
And I mean, I went with sort of the full interactive version here. So yeah, you have the lots of purple, which is kind of unusual for TOS, but we kept it in because we wanted to kind of go with the beautiful version, as it were. But you're also getting a lot of interactive lighting with the Bussards and the Impulse engine. So you actually get this really interesting gradient between the purple blue of the nacelles and then the orange front, which gives it so much colour that isn't normal. It's artistic. It's probably too much for my liking, but it's really artistic, right? This is kind of how the settings flow. But how does that feel with that much sort of interactive going on? Because you have the top Bussard, which is causing light in a way that the normal Connie wouldn't.
I think that's one of the things that the TOS Enterprise is missing. I wish they would have lit the chiller grills. I do like that these aren't blue as well. They're kind of a light purple or UV, kind of like what we see in the motion picture. But they still have that blue kind of look to them as well. So there's a lot going on here, even with the introduction of the impulse crystals, which is kind of like the next advancement step towards the refit era. Those are kind of downsized little impulse engines, but there's one on each side. So, or well, two on each side, but a crystal on each side. So it adds more color and dynamicism to the overall look. So.
While still being subtle is the wrong word, but small enough to not be obnoxious, right? They're just sort of there giving the thrust, right? Being two of them because it's a bigger ship, and then obviously as we progress later in Trek history, it goes back to needing just one because you can power the ship. Now, one thing I've always been intrigued by, I'm sure it's better views, but there's some rooms in the deflector, the aft deflector. Very distinct rooms.
It's not a deflector. I'm going to correct you as I correct everybody else.
As if that wasn't a plot, I'll let you tell the story.
It is a communications array and sensor. It's basically, this is a fleet command ship. It's like, just like the Federation class. That is not a rear-facing deflector. Why does it need a deflector to go back in reverse? It doesn't. That annoys the hell out of me. But I wanted to include it because I do like the Federation class, and I thought that was a nice little nod to that. Plus, it looks really cool. It's dynamic. And basically, it's for real-time communication to back to headquarters or whatever. It's just a beefed-up communications array so that this ship can oversee like fleet operations and report back and also get information.
And there's a lot of variants of a Dreadnaught, right? Of a Federation class, loads of variants where you just tweak a little bit. But I think the way the extra bulk, quote unquote bulk, is imbalanced here, with the torpedo launchers, the phasable turrets, that all feels really balanced here, while being not too angular, not too curved, fits in well. So good job there.
Yeah, and it is pretty beefy armament wise. You got the two phaser turrets at the back there and two rear-facing torpedo launchers.
Although boy, the power feeds. Because there's a tube right there, so the power feeds are going to go down and then straight that way, because I was going to hit into the torpedo tubes, but...
Technology.
Well, that's what I'm saying, right? It's a cool thing. Next view, though, is the back. Definitely a more classic Connie view. Kind of does sort of hide the newer elements a bit more in this view. Or looks more classic. Your thoughts?
It does have the 360 phaser turrets on the bottom, which is cool. And the struts. I like the thicker, bigger struts. And how they kind of are like the Belknap class, where they attach to the bottom, but not because they're actually integrated into the hull. So it's got that look. I really wanted something more beefy and substantial for that, and hopefully I've achieved that with this look. But
yeah, they're definitely really organically flowing in, and that's kind of hard to do because it's a non-organic thing to shove two shapes together and then model over it. So that's a really nice sweeping thing.
Honestly, the windows on the rear communication dome there seem a little big to me. Now that I'm looking at them here, I don't think they should be that big.
Hey, people like a party, right? That's one of the party rooms.
Sure.
Now, the only thing I'm noticing here is that there's literally zero details between the main deflector and the phasable turrets. I mean, there really isn't on the TOS either, but there's just a giant nothing there. It's odd to have a giant nothing space, right? Next view, though, is a nice looking view. Oof. Again, I'm quite pleased with my lighting here, so I will take some slight smugness for this. This looks great.
Yeah, this thing, I mean, I knew when I designed it, I wanted it to be powerful, but Jesus. You got 8 forward-facing torpedo tubes.
For TOS.
Right? Well, this is an experimental cruiser, hence the NXC experimental cruiser.
Now, is it fair to just say that given the nature of the design language, that the saucer torpedo tubes are a different tech than to the secondary hull ones, given that one are more like a TOS version and one are a TMP version. Could they be a Mark 1, a Mark 2, a Mark 3, something different about them, or maybe one be a probe launcher? Otherwise, why not have all the tubes be identical? What do you think? Any thoughts on that? Because they're very distinctly different.
I think just externally they look different. They're the same. They're all the same. I do like the idea of probe launchers though for the saucer. It could be that they're more of a micro torpedo perhaps. It has that submarine type torpedo tube vibe. So
I'm just wondering if, like I said, one is a more multi-purpose, designed with the Connie style of exploration, so we can do more things, and the other ones are more like, we're gonna be guns.
Sure.
Because Dreadnought.
Yeah. Here too, you see the front shuttle bay, which has a fly-through hangar. There's a shuttle bay at the back as well. The Federation class has one on the front, but not on the back, because it's got that big sensor or the communications dish on the back of the secondary hull instead.
Now, does this have a shuttle bay which is TMP-like, where you go in a bit and it dips, and this entire second hull's a dip?
Yes. I've got full internals for this thing, because it's got, you can fly around the sides straight through, and you can also go down to, service bays and stuff. Because there's, 2 or 3 decks that are just shuttle bay stuff.
So what percentage hollow would you say a secondary hull is to design to be flown around shuttle space? I mean, 30%, 40%, 50%, 60%?
30% pops into my head, but maybe 35-ish. I don't know.
And again, the weathering here makes it look so much more real. It's such a fine balance of just the dirt and where it is. It feels not painted on. It feels like it flew through some shit, right? It's really nicely done.
Yeah. I really like the texturing that's on the deflectors.
Yeah, it's nice.
And again, multiple deflectors for multiple different reasons. First of all, the TOS one was never a deflector; it was a sensor dish. But anyway, and the Federation class has 3 at the front as well. I like the smaller ones being more specialized. The main one, sure, you can be your deflector if you want. And then in the saucer, because this thing does separate, you've got one there, so you don't have the issue like the Miranda has, where's the deflector? So you can use that. So
and I think conventionally, and I have designed one myself, but I can't remember how he did that. Then conventionally, fans tend to make the secondary deflectors in the secondary hull bigger. So I'm intrigued that you made them that much smaller. So they feel, like say, specialist additional tech versus a tri-system, if that makes sense. Because they're nicely tucked in. It feels right. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure they can all do the thing if they need to. Like if the other 2 are down, one of the small ones could be deflector. But yeah, I think they're more specialized for scanning and all that kind of stuff. So,
and I see 2 windows next to the saucer deflector. It's kind of cool. Some deflector control or torpedo control rooms looking out. It's kind of cool. But Stuart, let's look at orthographics for the fine people, because we always say, how does it feel in orthographic? And it is a longer ship. Everything feels, stretch is the wrong word, but when you're taking the conventional shapes and you're adding a third one, it does feel a much longer ship. It does lose that balance of a Connie, but it's not going for that, right? But that's what stands out to me this first.
Again, I wanted those kind of shapes, kind of like a trident or like a at the back instead of the middle one being up. See, the reason I didn't attach it to the saucer is because I didn't want people thinking I was just stealing the Federation class design. My Mark III is very much more similar to the Federation class, but that's a whole other story. That's actually, this ship gets in a battle, has to separate, and when they rebuild the ship, they basically change a few things. Anyway, it's the whole thing. But no, I like the very aggressive stance with those struts, because everybody complains struts are a weak point. Well, they're not really. This is one of those ships that you wouldn't say that because it's got that beef.
It's a bit more come at me, bro.
Yeah, totally.
And yeah, and also the way, optical illusion or not, but maybe it's the struts are bigger, but everything feels more compressed into the hull, so it feels like it's got a profile that's not going to be hit as much. So it's all just neater. The Connie feels more pushed out. But like I say, if the nacelles are flat and thin, that might be an optical illusion as well. This kind of feels compressed, but in a strong way.
No, I understand what you're saying. Yeah. A lot of phaser arrays on the top, though.
A lot of phaser arrays everywhere.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Was there any part of you that ever considered putting a warp grill on the bottom of the third nacelle?
No.
So I'm seeing this and thinking that'd have been kind of cool.
That would have been kind of cool, actually. Yeah. It would almost make more sense, and be a little bit more protected, but it wouldn't because it's space. You can attack from anywhere.
Yeah.
But
So I'm pretty sure in my one for Dominion it was on the inside, but I like having both. Could be kind of interesting. Like for whatever reason, it's on the outside. It kind of redundancy allows it to be on the inside as well. Just as I see this,
maybe with it facing up, if you want to believe in the pairs rule, it can assist other ships. Should it need to?
Oh my god, that'd be a maneuver, wouldn't it? The Saladin does that, and we just talked about Trip's warp maneuver. Perfect. Goodness.
Yeah, there you go.
But let's see how it feels in the side, front, and back. Really well balanced side view for a ship that is unbalanced by definition. You made a pretty balanced version, so well done.
I tried, yeah. Again, I didn't want it to have people just say I'm ripping off the Federation class. So I wanted the third nacelle to be back there, which doesn't work for saucer separation and creating like another warp capable ship, but it does because that actually slides and fits into place into the saucer. There's a whole sequence for it. So, but yeah, I mean, I think the front has definitely got a lot going on. It's got a different saucer shape than the Constitution class. It doesn't have the same curves.
But you wouldn't necessarily notice unless you looked at it, which we've often looked and said the best thing is to stay in a box and not realise. So I didn't necessarily realise, but it doesn't feel unproportioned.
Yeah, well, it's different for sure. I didn't want it to be literally a Connie saucer. I wanted something to be a little bit more beefy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, gentle gradient. I really like, because they're hidden. Well, I mean, also they don't. It doesn't. I like the fact there's now the neck green paint on the third nacelle pylon versus. I mean, it's sort of there in the original, but it's lost. But that a bit of pop color, that's really nice there. Doesn't make sense as much, but irrespective, I like it.
Yeah, it goes up the front and it sweeps back to a point, which I really like. I made sure it had to do that. So
I like that pop of color. There's also a couple of shots I've done in a film. In fact, one is in your pitch video where it's almost a front on. I really like the front on with a little bit of side. It's so stocky and like, again, come at me, bro, as a shuttle flying away from it. And it's just got a really nice stance I like from the front. It's faithful yet. Dreadnaught, right? You're trying to sell a certain vibe and it sells it really well.
When it's separated into the two separate ships, they both have their own unique feel and they feel really good as well. So yeah, I wanted something that looked nice all around. So
another thing that, again, I'm seeing this and I'm looking. The designer in me says, I wonder if it would have been cool if that third nacelle had an alternate back segment rather than the ball. Because
yeah, I was thinking that like 2 or 3 shots ago when we were looking at it from the bottom. I'm like, yeah, cool if it had like the Where No Man Has Gone Before version with the holes.
Or a slight variant of something a bit different.
Yeah,
I because it doesn't have to be a colony nacelle. It doesn't have to be. That could have been a nice like addition. I mean, obviously it's great either way. I just like would have been a fun pop there.
Yeah.
No, that's great. But let's look at some detailed though. Again in beautiful resolution, the saucer with its many phases.
Yeah. This is designed to be a powerful ship. I don't know if you can tell.
Oh no, I've had it shoot stuff. It yeah. I've done the phases. I know.
It's got a unique T-shaped workhorse system with horizontal and vertical shafts that can separate, and it creates 2 warp capable ships when it separates, right? So
what's the yellow glow meant to be next to the impulse crystals? Because it reflects beautifully on the hull, but what's that meant to be?
I mean, it could be like what are the squares on the top of the saucer? A lot of people say they're like skylight for labs, like there's windows, right? Who knows? It's just, I don't know.
It's cool though. Adds that color pop that it's not missing or anything, but when you have this sort of lighting engine and everything interacts, it's just pleasing, right? Next to those, a really nice detail. I love the bounce lighting of this, and you can see the very distinct windows in the neck, which are giant. Don't look at them too closely because you're not meant to do this in 4K, etc. Definitely party rooms or giant briefing rooms, because those windows, imagine being there physically and seeing bay windows with a giant table would be tremendous. I guess this is a bigger ship because it's a Dreadnaught, though the neck is better in scale, so those kind of work. But they're big and would be fun to look out of.
Yeah, I like the unique look of them. Like you think of like a briefing room or like a conference room in a skyscraper where you got those tall windows. It kind of
Yep,
feels like that.
100%,
Um,
100%.
Although I wouldn't want to be in one when that third nacelle like slides up the back of the neck and locks into place. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
I mean, you can probably touch the wall and feel the mechanisms because they're right on you. And how do you feel now in this view, which obviously every view is different, about the size of the impulse engines comparatively? Because they do now feel rather small, advanced in the way, but
They
they're pretty
do,
small.
and as a designer, you're never like a model builder. You're never really 100% happy with things. Like looking at this now, I wish each one would have had a longer, just single one, maybe with its own impulse crystal instead of the two, because it almost just like you can see these evolving into what the refit eventually had, right? But this is a test ship as well, so those modules can probably be just swapped out. So who knows? I could change it if I wanted
And
to.
actually, that might have been a really interesting thing. We love the red pinstriping. Imagine if we put red pinstriping around it and it felt more like a plug and play unit, so that, as you say, they actually do literally iterate across the version. It's just literally would have been a fun way of just, but you'd have to have made it feel less integrated because it would be designed to come out. But yeah, it is cool. Next view though, got another. Now we talked about earlier how the first view about how you didn't think it felt big. This makes this ship feel big. Getting this close in this lighting, this feels chunky in a good way.
It does. I would like to see the shuttle bay open to see the interior of the shuttle bay as well with this. That'd be a great
Yes,
shot.
get on it, team. Oh wait, that's me.
Um, yeah, it does. It feels very massive.
And the fact the model looks this good, this close, is a testament to Mark and Matt, because that's the point, right? This is a hero model, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. They did a fantastic job. And actually, the large windows by that rear communications dish, I kind of like that because it's reminiscent of like the Enterprise ring ship. How at the
Yeah,
front you got
yep,
this
yep,
bigger
yep.
kind of. It's kind of got that vibe to it. So
Well, you can imagine there's a room where people go to phone home, so they like need a big lounge chair and some big speakers and big TV, and it's like, hey, guys.
yeah, there's an old 1960s TV and a record player. You just kick back. It's all retro. Yeah.
Non-canon. Now, this is a thing I see a lot in fan designs of this in-between step. At what point / would you / could you have wanted to add greeblies to either side of the shuttle bay, a la refit? Because there is a lack of anything there except, slightly dirty paint. Because in the TOS there's not quite as much space there. This has been broadened out a bit. How do you feel now seeing that? Would you have added something or whatnot? Thoughts?
I mean, yeah, I'm an experimental cruiser, kind of leading up to the next step because this is supposed to come out like the year the Enterprise's 5-year mission ended with Kirk. So that's the first year of this ship. So they're still using that tech, but they're also moving into the newer tech. Hence the ball turrets, hence the impulse engines the way they are. But they're still relying a lot on the older tech. But yes, I think putting something there would have been a good idea. Just didn't really think of it at the time. So
Yeah, it's one of the things. Also, once you get into the super macro,
yeah, and that's the other thing. You design it, you see it, even in 3D form or whatever. It's like it looks good. Then it gets built with high quality, textured, and then you're close up and looking at it like this, and you're like, "Holy shit! I would change this. I would change this." It's just people are
and
never happy with their own
and
work.
now
Right?
you know how Rick Sturback feels. He designs something for Voyager, said he submits, it gets built and CG, and he's like, and then he's asked by nerds like us, "So what do you think, Rick?" And he's like, "Guys, I stopped being in charge of this thing 8 artists ago, and you've rendered this separately, and you've got closer you meant to. What I meant to say. So you're living that dream, Stuart."
I don't know if it's a dream. It's more like a nightmare sometimes. But yeah,
Because that's the thing, right? You've never seen these images. This is literally your first time seeing them in 4K. This is actually a Trekyards to your own creation, where it is yours, but you've now given a new perspective on it. That's kind of wonderful, right?
yeah, absolutely, it is.
And like I say, beautiful texturing. This really elevates the TOS. So again, well done to Matt for truly excellent work. Next view, I love the little docking ring. It's so subtle. It's the first time I've really seen it. But boy, is it detailed, and I really congratulate that sort of minutia, because that is lovely.
Yeah, like you can zoom right in on that. And
Yes, I'm doing it as well.
NXC 2174. You got the little lights. You can see the details on the doors. Yeah, that's beautiful. And then there's those phaser ball turrets at the bottom too. The shadows really kind of make those pop. But yeah, this makes it feel huge. Like you feel like you're in a travel pod going up to that airlock right now.
You're welcome.
Yeah, like this would be cool to see on screen, like animated, like going up towards that, like it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Well, let's get Stuart more fan films, yeah? That's all you need to, right? That's all one thing that I did I'm remembering as we do this, for my Dreadnaught, for Dominion, which you should go watch, it's a great show. I added a cargo bay, or actually, sorry, shuttle bay, a drop shuttle bay, to fill out the secondary hull, which would open up and there's a full shuttle bay, but with a different configuration that I sort of designed. And in fact, I think we were told to do it because I'd launched something, but I made it full bay, and then I got to move everything forward. So that was definitely a thing I did for the space.
Mm-hmm. You had mentioned lack of detail between the deflector and those. Put like a cargo door thing segment there. Have like a cargo section underneath. That'd be kind of neat. But
or you could even, if this was the ISS evil version, you could go like of Gods and Men, where it opens up and the giant Omega torpedo thing comes out or whatever. Giant death cannon. Perfect.
Yes. Could definitely do that.
And you mentioned earlier, beautiful deflector texturing. I mean, the way they reflect and light, and yeah, really, really nice.
That's the other thing. Like any of those deflector pictures, you can zoom right in with this. You see little fine scratches in it. It's like it's metal. It looks beautiful.
4K. And speaking of next view, all the doors have little gross lines of dirt. I love that you see the inner torpedo tubes. They're slightly reflective because they're metal, so they sheen beautifully. Yeah.
Looks like an air duct.
It does. Yes, it does. John McClane, come on down. This is your tube.
I really like those the windows in the neck because they're so unique. And when this thing flies by as well, I've seen shots where it's like those really kind of pop and stand out, and you don't really think necessarily that they're too big a window until you kind of do stuff like this. Like look in. It's like, But no, I think it works. It looks really good.
And often it might have been a case that, as in, because we've done scale and I've done renders often of a person, it's like, oh, that's too big. Well, and I would drop myself straight away. I mean, are not the saucer windows in TMP with the giant crew deck, aren't those windows like effing massive?
Pretty big, yeah.
So there is an entirely justifiable save. There's a space that needs that level of wow. So there you go. Next view, though, is on the front with the tubes. And you've got the little nipple, Stuart. The dual pointy nipple at the bottom on the lower dome. Congratulations.
Ooh, see? Fanciness. You got to really zoom in to see that, though.
Yes, you do.
No, I wanted this to feel very integrated, and that's why I've got that. Instead of like the Saladin or the Hermes class where it sticks out of the planetary sentry dome just like with an arm, I just incorporated that, built it into the hull, and then of course to match the aesthetic, the torpedo tubes there are the same look, right?
Back to the beauty. You've been on a journey, Stuart, as now she feels much more small. How do you feel seeing your girl in literally 4K with a 4K quality texturing and model build? How do you feel?
She's pretty. I'm very happy with it. It looks really fantastic. So thank you for doing this, first of all. Thank you to everybody involved. Yes, I'd like to thank everybody involved with this, from the beginning process to like Barry Chapman to Matt Boardman to Mark Bell to you to everybody that's kind of contributed to this design. It's been a process, and there's a whole story. I'm going to do a complete video about this ship, and it's the Mark 1, the Mark 2, the Mark 3, and the refit version, and their stories. So.
Now this is, we're going to look at Horizon and some other stuff as well in this anniversary month. But while this was done a while ago, this is not a brand new thing. Although it was done in the 9th year as this version of the model. How does it feel? We started Trekyards that many years ago. Now you've got a full show quality model, lit beautifully, which is way further than I ever could have done when we started. How does that feel then? Because that's the 10-year mark. You've now got your girl is out there making waves in the fan film world as it starts to be an episode. So how does that feel, seeing it and knowing 10 years, but here it is?
It feels fantastic. This has been longer than 10 years in the making. That's why it's called the Foley class. I wanted to put my name and my stamp on the Star Trek community in some way. And then Trekyards became a thing, became Captain Foley, and unfortunately I was stuck with this being the USS Foley, the whole story. But anyway, yeah, for it to be like more than a decade's worth to get to finally here, and soon to be seeing it like in motion doing things, it's going to be really great. So I'm I'm very happy with it, and happy anniversary to us, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's great.
celebrate the design language. And it would be fun, actually, maybe as a live or something, to go back and maybe watch the Dreadnaught episode we did, the Federation class, and kind of see our original discussion and your original vibe. And then, because I'm sure you must have said stuff in that video about how you do this and this, and it's like, well, here we go. You know, you put your modelling where your mouth is, and you came prepared to fight, etc.
Yeah.
So, and of course, you guys donated to get this thing in fan films. Hopefully, it'll be in more because that's ready to go, and it looks real pretty. So yes, well done all. Thank you all. Look forward to seeing it do things and bobs.
Yeah. Thank you for watching, guys. Make sure you hit that like button. Comment down below what you thought about this ship. There are a few other videos from years past about this ship, which you might want to search for and check out if you're interested. And there will be more coming. But comment down below what you think. And by all means, make sure you're subscribed and notified so you don't miss any live content or edited content from us. We've got 10 years worth of stuff. Hopefully another 10 to come.
And if you want to support what we do here for even more years, because 10's a great round number, but we want to keep going, so your support is absolutely crucial. So if you want to say well done to Stuart or us for 10 years, our first anniversary bit of content, then super thanks down below. Any and all donations make a big difference to this show. So if you want to put, a couple of twos, couple of fives, whatever, to say well done, happy anniversary, that would be tremendous. And again, thank you in advance. Or you can join us on Patreon, because this show only continues because you guys support us. So Patreon or join the channel, both monthly. Anything from $1, which is kind of cool, to like 10, which is amazing, helps us out. Or super chatting during our lives. Do a lot of live content on a lot of different things: new Trek, old Trek, fun Trek, debate Trek, whatever. Support us via super chatting and put your thoughts in there, or buy merch down below, or buy the anniversary bundle when that comes out as well, because fanciness. Anniversary. Woo! And tune in for the other 3 anniversary videos this month. 1 each week as a bonus, so tune in for those other ones. Anniversary.
Until next time, he's Commander Cockings.
He's Captain Foley.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.